Sometimes you just need to watch a monster wreck a building. Godzilla, directed by Roland Emmerich, released in May of 1998 with a runtime of 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's the Godzilla movie for people who don't want to sit through 2 hours of setup. Starring Matthew Broderick, Jean Reno, Maria Pitillo, Hank Azaria, Arabella Field, Doug Savant, Kevin Dunn, and Michael Lerner. A production budget of $130 million, a domestic take of $136 million, a worldwide take of $379 million, for a total profit of $249 million. Characters. Okay, let's look at the top three here. We've got Broderick playing Dr. Nico Tatopoulos. First time! Very happy with that. He's your super smart biologist specializing in mutations caused by radiation. I don't think I've ever seen a protagonist this nice. He's just a pleasant guy. So polite. He polites his way in and out of trouble. And it's great. And they bring him in because, Godzilla. Real big iguana. He also has probably one of my favorite character intros where he's just singing along as he's driving his truck through the rain out at Chernobyl. In fact, the first time we meet Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought of this intro. He's not your commando, he's not an action star, he's not a cop, he's not a soldier, he's nothing like that. He's a scientist, and he's up to his eyeballs in all manner of trouble. Next we have Jean Reno playing Philip Roach. As always, Reno plays a very lovely, understated, kind of shifty character. It's perfect, and it's so good to see him in this movie. He's a member of the French Secret Service, been sent out with a team to try and help contain the Godzilla situation. This is because the French government feels somewhat responsible and a little bit guilty about the fact that they've been nuking an island, and that's created this monster. Quick thinker, tactical mind, bit of a strategist, but isn't stupid, is quite aware that when they're in trouble, it's time to go now. The sort of guy you want as your squad leader. You know, he'll get the job done, but let's not get dead doing it. Audrey Timmons, you'd say love interest female lead. And while she is the love interest, they brush across the top of that. They don't make it a major part of the story because she's running around to prove herself to be a reporter, and she's got the biggest story of all time. You got her conflict about being a good person and doing the right thing versus being the not so nice and get the best story. You got that little duality going on there. And she's about as nice. She's as genuine and as sweet and nice as Broderick's character, Dr. Nick. She's a little too sweet at the very start. You're like, I have to watch this the whole movie. But no, she warms up fast, and and it's great. Again, another actress or another character who really builds on all the support characters around them. The more you give her the work with, the better it gets. And quickly on the support characters, they are gold. They are really, really good characters in this. They really help the movie shine. Victor Animal Pilotti, fantastic. Whenever he's on screen, you're having a good time. Lucy Pilotti, good as well. Really good in her scenes. Helps being the bit of a catalyst to some of Audrey's bad decisions. And then blaming Victor, of course. Good fun. Colonel Hicks, good to see a military man who's aware that he's out of his depth and does everything he can to try and make up for this. He's really working hard to save the city and save as many people as possible. And when Godzilla takes out his troops, he looks upset. He's not just chucking them away. He's not happy that any of this is happening. And his right-hand man, Sergeant O'Neill. I felt for O'Neill. I really did. I'm not sure if he was National Guard or regular army, but either way, he just wasn't prepared for this and had to do a lot of sprinting, so to speak, to keep up with the situation and make up for lost ground. I thought giving him a little stutter when he gets flustered or a bit nervous was just a really good attribute to go and give a character like this. It made you feel for the character, made you connect with the character. And the two that you enjoyed not liking, you got Mayor Herbert. He's a political slime bag, and you enjoyed disliking him. And then you got the lead reporter taking advantage of Audrey and all of her efforts. This guy. Another one you're happy to hate. So overall, characters are going to get a 3.25. 3 for the excellent main cast, and a 0.25 because the support cast, just so much fun to watch on screen. They always improved every scene they were in, and they just help with the immersion on every level. Good value. Now for the story. And as far as Godzilla movies go, this has a little bit of setup and a lot more monster. The story itself can be broken up into 4 parts. Part 1 being setup. You see a footprint. You see a claw mark, you hear him bellow, you hear him deep sounds in the ocean, You see ripples and wreckage. That's how you know he's around the place. And it all leads up to him slowly making his way to New York. And during this setup, you've got the build-up of the military presence and the scientists chasing him, everyone trying to speculate what's going on. Building up the tension, giving you a hint of what's to come. Part 2 being the invasion of New York, where Godzilla finally makes landfall and wrecks the place. It covers the disaster that is Godzilla in a large urban environment. The military response, the public response, the media response, everyone scrambling around trying to figure out what's going on, trying to evacuate, trying to combat him. Lure Godzilla out, take him down, or at least try to figure out what he wants, where he's gone. Interestingly enough, you have a game of hide and seek because Godzilla burrows and he hides amongst the city's infrastructure. And that's very interesting as well. On a side note, they never explain why they can't find him on thermals. I think it's mentioned once why the heat seekers can't lock onto him. He's just too cold. I never understood that bit. I probably never will. Until the army's able to finally harass him out of the city, back in the river, submarines chase him down, hit him with a bunch of torpedoes, and he is defeated. Then it goes on to part 3, which is the sneaky search and destroy mission being led by the French Special Forces, or French Secret Service. Dr. Nick has joined this team since he's been kicked off the military base. So now they're hunting down his nest, looking to destroy all the eggs, and it turns into a Jurassic Park style survival movie, where they've got to run away and try to get eaten by all of Godzilla's babies, little babyzillas. Heroes find a way to contact the outside world, they bomb the living hell out of this stadium, I think it's called the Madison Square Garden, and all the babyzillas are killed. Yay, good guys. And then they stagger around and it looks like the movie's over. But then it goes on to part 4. Part 4 being Vengeance of Godzilla, where he bursts out of the ground, very upset about his destroyed younglings, and then chases the heroes while they try to escape in a taxi. They drive around, finally get away, trap Godzilla, hit him with a bunch of rockets, and finally kill him. Overall, I'm glad they kept all this in the movie, because if you cut any part out or trim any part down, it would have felt like a lessened experience. You wouldn't have got as much as you'd wanted. I'll be going ahead and giving the story on this one a 3.5. Look and feel. Okay then. The backstory that was all delivered in the intro credit sequence, I enjoy that. I really like it when movies go and do that. They give you story, they give you all the setup, or at least some setup, enough for you to run with in the intro credits. That's cool. The way they shot this was excellent. Lots of big sweeping shots and overhead shots. Lots of dramatic upwards angles. Lots of shots that really emphasize scale and speed and the power of Godzilla and the somewhat claustrophobic environment he is in. New York usually feels a little crowded when you watch it, but when watching Godzilla run around in it, it feels really tight and close, and that was effective. The mobile military and science camps, they felt good. They felt like they were hastily put up, they're emergency accommodations, everyone's running around, everyone's rushing around, there's always something happening in the background. Now, the way they used the music in this movie was beautiful. The music literally swirls around you as you're watching it. But the moment it really stands out, you really notice it, is when you get the first full reveal of Godzilla. The first time you see the mighty, mighty monster entirely captured on screen. And the music just rises into its crescendo. Very Jurassic Park in that respect. It's got a real Jurassic Park feel to the way they use their music in this. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's talk about Godzilla, the actual star of the movie. I liked him. He felt like a giant angry iguana. Somewhere between a T-Rex, an iguana, and a velociraptor. Felt like a giant lizard, moved like a giant lizard, had that curious level of intelligence about him. He wasn't just a dumb animal. This was a cunning, savvy hunter. He was powerful, he was strong, he was huge, but he was also fast. He was dangerous. He didn't just waddle around the place. He would move and leap and jump and run. I loved his texture, loved his look. All the spines and the spikes and the massive chin and the big teeth and those eyes. The eyes portrayed a fair bit of intelligence in there, and that was nice too. Yes, some of the CGI work and green screen work, it's not that great now. When I saw it at the cinemas at the time, it was astounding. You watch it now, it's like, yeah, right, okay. But for when it was made and what it is, it's actually really good. Also, all the damage that was done to the city. Man, the place got trashed. It looked good. I enjoyed the fact that it got wrecked. I mean, it didn't just look like a little bit of damage. It really got tore up. And I also like the fact that nothing could really handle having Godzilla in it. Like, he's running across things and the road's cracking and buckling. Him just being there was wrecking the joint. You felt like his mass and weight was just doing damage passively. And I really like that. One of my biggest complaints about any of these sorts of movies, particularly the Godzilla franchise, is when you see these enormous creatures and you're thinking, how do they actually stand on that? Pretty sure that's going to crack something, you know, like a continent. They got his scale, his size, his presence, his power right. The city always looks correct. With all the rain and everything, you could obscure some of the CGI, so that looked good too. You buy into this movie. At least I bought into this movie heavily. I'm going to give look and feel a 3.75. It's almost a 4, but the CGI and the old school green screen does pull you out every now and then. But yes, 3.75 for look and feel. Good time. Script and dialogue. For your brainless generic monster movie, this was pretty smart. Like I mentioned before, the support characters really lifted every scene. And then that gave the main characters a lot of room to play with, and they took advantage of that. For example, Audrey along with Animal and Lucy. That was fun. Then you've got Dr. Nick with Anybody was just good. And all of his exposition was interesting. His pseudoscience, his Hollywood science was fun to listen to, using a lot of logic and explaining situation in ways that made sense. They described Godzilla as an animal, as a creature. Oh, he's feeding, he's looking for a nest. Oh, of course, the Isle of Manhattan is perfect for him. It's surrounded by water and he can actually hide in there. Of course it makes sense. But it's all rubbish, isn't it? You forgot that he's, what, hundreds of thousands of tons of giant lizard running around. All the military stuff, no idea how accurate any of that was really, but all the carry-on seemed believable. You bought into the fact that you've got a lot of very professional soldiers running around having a bit of a panic because, you know, the world's largest dinosaur was turned up and is unhappy. Best bit, they didn't rush us into any sort of romance in this one. They just let that warm up naturally and they just had to deal with it as they went along. There was no magic bullet to fix their relationship. Even at the very end, when they look much more amicable, much more friendly to each other, there's no big passionate kiss as the crowd cheers. Special Agent Roach's ongoing coffee gag was nice. That was fun. It wasn't important, but they kept doing it, and I did like that. Also, having Nick Broderick. Also having Dr. Nick as the nerd with authority. That was cool. He was absolutely out of his depth until they asked him a science question. Then he was in charge. There were quite a lot of Jaws references and homages to that in this movie, which was very cool. Especially the famous panning shot where you got Dr. Nick standing in the street realizing that here comes Godzilla. As much like in Jaws when that guy had that moment on the beach. It's very, very cool. Probably my favorite part of the movie, though, is the finale fake out at the end. And yeah, when I was at the cinema, I bought into that. I thought, oh, look at that. They've killed Godzilla. They killed the babies. Now we're just panning back and everyone's having their little moment. It's end of movie dialogue and jokes and just kind of like chilling. And even the music lulls down. And as the camera draws back, you're waiting for the credits. And then Godzilla roars. And he's back. And he's mad. And I loved it. I got sucked in by that at the movies. Yeah. Novice rookie mistake. But I was in the movie. Leave me alone. So, looking at script and dialogue, it was your standard action monster movie fare. Or just a standard action movie fare. Never mind the monster bit. It was good. Everyone delivered well. The banter was good. The lines were good. The situational content was good. It was just good all round. I'm happy to go and give this one a 3. Fun factor. Yeah, I've got a real soft spot for this movie. It's always entertaining to me. I just enjoy watching everything play out. As I mentioned, I think it's because the movie's so long, they had time to have it play out in 7 different ways. It felt as long as a standard Godzilla movie. Okay, not quite that long. It was so busy. You didn't really notice the time until afterwards. I enjoy the monster breaking things. I enjoy the humans being witty. I enjoy the chases. I enjoy the bit of intrigue. I enjoyed all the character interplay. Yeah, I had a fun time with this. I'm going to go ahead and give Fun Factor a 3.5. So, final score. You add all these up, you got a 17. I really have a lot of fun with this movie. I watch it every couple of years, I think. And then I remember how much I enjoy this movie and how much more there is to it than I remember from the last time. Now, I just need to do something a little different here though, because whilst I do love this movie, and it is a definite 17 for me, that's as a monster movie. As a Godzilla movie, now, a Godzilla movie is something different. In all the other Godzilla movies that I've watched, whilst he's the title character, he's not your main character. He's your environmental threat. He's the big event. And when you see him, it's meant to be a moment. All the other stuff is the build-up, it's the anticipation, and then Godzilla is the payoff. That's the big difference here. So when you hold it up against that, it drops. I'd be putting this at around about 14.75 total. Maybe 15. So there you go. I had some fun and I hope you did too. Thank you for joining me. As always, please comment below. What's your favorite Godzilla movie? Or one of the spin-off movies like The Turtle or Mothra or whatever. Please like, subscribe and share my review around. And as always, I hope you're having a great week and that you make some time to go watch a movie.